Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
What happens when a hospital is in danger of running out of cash? Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. On a day when California's COVID emergency is officially over, the only major hospital in one of the state's hardest hit counties is getting some help. El Centro Regional Medical Center in Imperial County is dealing with serious financial problems. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman updates us on the plan for one local company to step in and make sure the community's needs are met.
El Centro Regional Medical Center is in a financial crisis. This week, its board approved a plan to have UC San Diego Health take over day-to-day operations for at least the next year.
If Imperial Valley lost their hospital systems, it would be devastating to that region.
UC San Diego Health CEO Patty Mason says her team has partnered with the Imperial County Hospital since 2015. They've been helping with critical care and running the emergency department. She says they felt a responsibility to do more and make sure the region's largest hospital doesn't shut its doors.
That was our concern, is that if we couldn't create some breathing room to get to something that makes sense long term, that the hospital would be at risk at closing.
El Centro Regional is one of just 2 hospitals in the county. Its chief medical officer says there have been financial issues brewing.
This is one of the poorest counties in the nation, and reimbursement, I mean, it's mostly Medi-Cal and Medicare, Medi-Medi. So essentially, the hospital, every time we admit a patient, we're actually losing money at El Centro Regional Medical Center.
With UCSD Health stepping in, El Centro Regional can continue borrowing money with the long-term goal of financial stability. One idea is combining the hospital with the county's other medical center, Pioneers Memorial Hospital.
If you're going to have a plan for the Imperial Valley, it needs to have both hospitals involved in doing shared services, and each hospital concentrating on what it can do best instead of duplication.
Combining health systems could mean the creation of a new county-wide healthcare district, which would use taxes to help cover expenses. El Centro's mayor says there's a study underway to see exactly how that could work, and it would require voter approval. Imperial County can't afford to lose either of their hospitals.
We're in a very rural area, so when we talk about the closest hospital would be in Yuma, Arizona, which is 60 miles away, in the Palm Springs, Coachella area, which is another, 70 miles away, and then also taking a look at the San Diego area, that's 110 miles away.
El Centro Regional Medical Center closed its labor and delivery department earlier this year. Under the plan, UCSD Health would run the hospital until a long-term solution is put in place, something that could take up to 18 months. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
The price of insulin is going down by a lot. Pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly announced today it's cutting the out-of-pocket price by capping the cost of the drug at $35. The reduction will take place on May 1st. The company is also slashing the cost of its non-branded insulin product to $25 per vial. The cost of insulin has been on the rise for years, while the demand has also increased. According to the CDC, 37 million American adults are diabetic. Food stamp recipients are about to have a harder time buying groceries. They'll be getting $90 less per month on average with the help that they receive from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP. For the last 3 years, SNAP benefits included extra money as part of a pandemic hunger relief program. But Congress voted to end those emergency dollars, which estimates to about $3 billion per month. The man who shot and killed Robert F. Kennedy in 1968 was denied parole again today. Sirhan is housed at the Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego. And KPBS reporter John Carroll is live in the newsroom with what happened at today's hearing. John?
Maya, though a different board approved Sirhan's release the last time in August of 2021, the board today denied him parole on his 17th try. Sirhan's lawyer, Angela Berry, told the Associated Press she thinks the current parole board is influenced by Governor Gavin Newsom, who overturned Sirhan's approved parole last time around. At that time, the governor said, among other things, that Sirhan had not taken full responsibility for killing Kennedy. That led Sirhan's lawyer, Angela Berry, to sue Newsom, saying he was abusing his discretionary powers. That suit is still working its way through the courts. Berry has pointed out that Newsom has named Robert Kennedy as one of his political heroes. Associated Press reporter Julie Watson, who attended today's hearing, reports that Berry says today's decision reflects the board's opinion that the 78-year-old Sirhan still lacks insight in what caused him to shoot the senator and presidential candidate in the ballroom of the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles in the summer of 1968. Kennedy's family has been split on whether Sirhan should be paroled, with most of them opposing it. He'll be eligible for parole again in 3 years. Maya?
Thanks, John. It's another day of unstable weather across San Diego County. In North County, the wind was strong enough to interrupt train travel. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer snapped this photo of a eucalyptus tree that fell over and onto train tracks in Encinitas, and that was around 2 p.m. And that interrupted the coaster and the Amtrak for a couple of hours this afternoon. Well, service is back now that crews have cut up and removed that tree. And the snow keeps coming in higher elevations. KPBS video journalist Charlotte Radulovich shared some video from Julian. It's one of the many mountain communities all over California dealing with the latest winter storm. Mike Valerio shows us more.
March coming in like a lion across the West Coast.
And this is the only way to get up and over Donner Summit right now.
Mountain communities in California buried under record snow.
Just nonstop.
The history-making back-to-back storms potentially delivering another 3 feet of snow in the San Bernardino Mountains by the end of the day Wednesday.
I've been up here since '99. And this is the worst.
Some people left stranded with dwindling supplies as roads became too difficult to navigate.
You just start getting more antsy every day, and I have, animals up there. His wife, my mom, is up there alone.
Goodwin's Market, a family-owned grocery store in Crestline, California, sharing this video of a plow pulling a semi-truck loaded with food and supplies to restock their empty shelves on Tuesday.
We got the meat load in.
Farther north, parts of the Sierra Nevada mountains under blizzard warnings. The powerful storm dumping more than 3 times the total annual amount of snowfall in just a matter of days.
The snow it's just so much.
Travelers facing road closures amid whiteout conditions. Officials warning drivers not to take alternate routes to get around.
They have no idea maybe what they're driving into until it's too late.
As the wicked winter weather slowly moves away, a happy homecoming. More than 600 science camp students stranded in the San Bernardino Mountains over the weekend, finally arriving home. In San Bernardino County, I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
A prominent East County mayor says he's running for Congress again, this time targeting a different district. El Cajon's Bill Wells, a Republican, announced his campaign today in the 51st. That's the district currently held by Democrat Sarah Jacobs. It covers parts of San Diego, North County, and East County communities like El Cajon. The 2024 primary is in March of next year. In recent election cycles, Wells has run for the district held by Darrell Issa and previously by Duncan Hunter. On a party line vote, Republicans in a House committee are advancing a bill that could help President Biden ban TikTok in the U.S. Work is already happening to ban the app on government-issued devices. Critics say it goes too far and threatens online speech, but supporters argue that TikTok's owners have ties with the Chinese government, and that could threaten national security. Well, TikTok is hugely popular among teens. Today, the company announced it will impose a default screen time limit of 1 hour for users under the age of 18. The feature would be optional and can be disabled. It's expected to roll out in the coming months. And they can write essays for students, create art and music, and even help with office work. You may have heard of generative AI like ChatGPT or DALL-E. But what are they exactly? KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer looks at how these complex machine learning algorithms are impacting San Diegans.
Picture an online technology that, with a little human prompting, can write, code, create images and audio, and even make videos almost as good as we can. That's now a reality. They're called generative artificial intelligence systems.
AI refers to the development of computer systems that can perform tasks that usually require human intelligence.
University of San Diego professor Anna Marbit explains how one of them works.
You say, "Hi, ChatGPT, how are you doing today?" And ChatGPT produces a probability for many different responses and then picks basically the highest probability response, and that's what it spits out.
Hello. As an AI language model, I don't have emotions like humans do, but I'm functioning well and ready to assist you.
ChatGPT is the most famous version of generative AI. It's only been out since November, but already has more than 100 million users, including many high school and college students.
And I would say students who are actively using it, at least, maybe for one assignment a week, or probably a third to a half.
Manu Agni is a senior at UC San Diego. He says many students won't admit to using the AI tools because they feel guilty or they're unsure if it will get them in trouble. In fact, UC San Diego sent out a letter to students about artificial intelligence systems.
Basically, they said if the professor isn't explicitly allowing it, it's not allowed. It's considered cheating.
Agni says some UCSD professors have kept it banned, while others have given it a partial or full green light. Marbit says while the text-based systems can sound convincingly human, they're not perfect.
It is not necessarily helpful to be afraid of AI.
The model can give false answers, can give answers that they actually are not supposed to give. So they've also been trained to, not give harmful answers to questions, but you can trick them depending on how you prompt them.
Like any powerful tool, AI can also be misused.
AI is also causing a stir in the art world.
All of the copies of your face walk into a bar.
Some local artists like Beck Haberstroh apply the technology in their work, but there is controversy over the way the systems are used.
They're trained oftentimes on the work of artists or writers who are not being credited or compensated for that work. And so to me, that's a concern with how these kinds of programs might impact the arts community, broadly speaking.
While some local artists are using generative AI to help create digital images and physical paintings, Haberstroh's works often question the ethics of the fast-growing technology.
Who's well represented, who's not represented, who's made more visible by them, who's made less visible by them. So I think there's a lot of potential for exploitation the more and more that we use these programs.
Agni compares the current quality of ChatGPT's writing to a talented sophomore in high school, but he says it notably can't do citations just yet. Still, Agni says its use goes beyond the classroom.
For college application essays, for applications to graduate school, job applications, scholarships, writing samples for a creative job. I mean, this thing has infinite uses.
Marbit says rules and regulations for generative AI will be key as the technology is here to stay. But she did want to clarify one thing to people who are wary or scared about the so far unregulated technology.
But I don't think that we as a society need to be worried about, general artificial intelligence at this point. I think we're still a long ways off from that.
And while UC San Diego warns against using AI, Agni sees it as a tool rather than cheating. Plus, he says, there's pressure to embrace generative AI or risk falling behind.
I don't use it to complete assignments, but certainly when I've had writer's block or when I've needed some inspiration on a topic, it's too tempting.
Marbit says the technology could impact many fields in San Diego over the coming years, such as business, science, healthcare, and even the media. But just to be clear, ChatGPT didn't help me write this story. And for now, I'm happy about that.
How can I help you today?
Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
As And Jacob's story is an example of the in-depth feature reporting from the KPBS newsroom. You can stream those stories on the KPBS YouTube page, and that's also where we live stream KPBS Evening Edition weeknights at 5. It's a reminder that COVID-19 is still circulating. UC San Diego's men's basketball team canceled 2 upcoming games due to its COVID health and safety protocol. No details are given on the number of potential cases, but the issue is enough to call off the final 2 scheduled games of the regular season. They were set for Thursday and Saturday. The Tritons are still planning to play in the Big West Championship tournament. That's later this month. On the UC San Diego campus this morning, there was a rally of support for a couple of postdoctoral scientists who claim they are victims of academic bullying. These are the latest allegations of harassment by UC professors against unionized academic workers. KPBS education reporter MG Perez brings us an update.
These UC San Diego postdoctoral scientists and their student researcher colleagues are willing to rally in the rain because they say they won't let anything stand in the way of their rights.
Their advisor was derogatory and not respectful.
These are all academic unionized workers here on the UCSD campus who went on strike last fall, demanding new contracts offering better working conditions, more pay, and other considerations.
The fight for accountability is always ongoing, and it requires all of us in the community.
The new union contracts were ratified late last year. The conflict comes in their interpretation. Even though the University of California has agreed to the terms, these union members say they aren't following them. They are here to rally for Dr. Moiwa Kibwe and Dr. Rahatullah Razan, who are postdoc scientists conducting medical experiments in cardiovascular disease and diabetes. They both work for this primary investigator, also called a PI, Dr. Ayako Makino, an associate professor in the Department of Medicine.
I work in Dr. Makino's lab. We are subject of bullying, harassment, and I'm facing dismissal, which is unfair dismissal right now.
His colleague, Dr. Razan, has a wife expecting a baby next week. He claims his boss denied him appropriate parental leave and considerations.
She increased my experimental load in such a way that I had to go home at midnight, like most of the days. And since my wife is pregnant, I couldn't take care of her doing the household chores. It made my life horrible.
Adam Caparco is with the union representing both of them. He says the contract has an article of requirement for a respectful work environment.
Oh, absolutely. This is a violation of the contract because there are very specific definitions of what academic bullying is in that article, and there are several of the behaviors of this PI are listed plainly in the contract.
KPBS News reached out to Dr. Makino and her supervisors for comment. None of them responded to our request. The rain might have stopped, but organizers say the rallying will continue. MG Perez, KPBS News.
The city of San Diego is in the midst of updating its community plan for University City. KPBS reporter Claire Strong spoke to residents who disagree on some major issues.
Bonnie Kirch bought her dream home in South University City in 2016. She moved there because she loved the family feel of the neighborhood. But now she's worried that will change if the area is rezoned. Thousands of new homes, including high-density housing such as condos, are proposed under the City of San Diego's University Community Plan update.
Adding that many housing units to our tiny little 7 square mile region is pretty crazy. It's unreasonable.
Kutch is concerned this would put a strain on local services and lead to more traffic, especially along Governor Drive, which could see 2 shopping malls turned into housing units.
We have currently 3 schools. We have a park, and we have the library on Governor Drive. And they're talking about making it 1 lane. It's not going to work, having that much traffic, I think, on Governor Drive.
In addition to creating more housing, the plan, which would be rolled out over the next 30 years, aims to utilize the multi-billion-dollar Blue Line trolley extension and create more walking and biking paths to help reduce greenhouse gases. Aidan Lin is a student at UC San Diego. He thinks more housing is essential to encourage students to stay in the area long after they've graduated.
There is a large section, thousands of students that want to stay in San Diego. They've made San Diego their home, but they may or may not have that opportunity to do so after they graduate, depending on if they can find housing, if they can find a good paying job, all of the above.
Fellow student Nicole Lilly thinks there's only one way to solve the area's housing issues.
We need more housing, so of course I would love for all of that to be affordable housing, but that's not always realistic. To solve the housing crisis, we simply need to build more housing. We need to meet our housing goals.
In a statement to KPBS News, San Diego Planning Director Heidi Von Blum said as many San Diegans are aware, the city currently has a lack of homes people can afford. This is just one opportunity in addition to many other citywide initiatives to add this much-needed capacity for new homes in a high-resource area located near the region's recent multi-billion-dollar investment in the new trolley line. Bonnie isn't sold, though, and has been spending the past few weeks handing out flyers and organizing a rally set for March 11th.
There's a lot of people that are here in this South UC area that bought into the community, young families, older people, and such that bought here for a reason. They like the atmosphere. They like the single-family neighborhood. There's going to be a lot of people like myself that will consider moving away.
Claire Strong, KPBS News.
Our latest winter storm will be exiting the area tonight and finally relaxing its grip on the area, so the strong winds will gradually diminish through the night, but it's going to be cold in the wake of this storm, and it could be a bit frosty here on Thursday morning. Temperatures dropping in some spots from the 30s into the 20s. And then after that, it'll be dry and a little bit warmer Thursday into Friday. You still have the winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings through the evening, but these will be dropped through the night as the storm pulls away, so you certainly don't want to be traveling up there in the high country. And there'll also be some high winds as well, high wind warnings into the late evening hours, but the winds will diminish and these advisories will come down. Overnight tonight in the metro, breezy this evening, our temperature down to 42, but surrounding areas will be colder, dropping down to freezing and below. And with the winds diminishing, we could be looking at some frosty conditions. As we take a look at the future cast for you, what's left of the showers of rain and the snow will be pulling away as the storm exits into Arizona during the overnight hours, and then we'll be left with some dry conditions here through the night and into the day on Thursday, and it will become a little bit milder after our chilly morning. So here's a look at the weather Thursday. Sunshine. Temperatures creeping up to the upper 50s and the lower 60s, and the mountains will be in the low 40s around Mount Laguna. Taking a look at the coast for the next 5 days, we'll see some sunshine, but still a little bit cool, and the next system approaches over the weekend, some clouds and cool breezes. Taking you to the inland sections, our temperatures will be a bit milder. You can see Friday into Saturday, still cool, relatively speaking. And then as we take you up to the mountains here, well, it stays cool, but the next system approaches mainly clouds and winds early next week. And in the deserts, there's some sunshine, a little bit warmer here, then a little bit cooler into early next week. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, new intelligence is released on the mysterious Havana syndrome that sickened American diplomats in Cuba and beyond. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
The United States Postal Service is getting ready to modernize its fleet of vehicles. USPS has the nation's largest federal fleet, and today the Postal Service announced it has awarded new contracts to Ford to buy more than 92,000 commercial electric vehicles. The first stage is to replace the left-hand drive vehicles as it moves to eventually replace all gas-powered vehicles. The $9.5 million will also go to purchasing 14,000 new EV charging stations. Here's another look at today's top stories. Changes are coming to Imperial County's biggest hospital. UC San Diego Health will work with the El Centro Regional Medical Center to boost its finances and service to the community. The partnership will last 12 to 18 months, according to UC San Diego Health. In addition to money problems, Imperial Valley was one of the hardest hit in California by the pandemic. We'll have more on this topic on Friday's KPBS Roundtable. And there will be no parole anytime soon for Sirhan Sirhan. That's the result of today's hearing at Donovan State Prison in Otay Mesa. Sirhan was convicted of killing Senator Robert Kennedy during a presidential campaign stop in Los Angeles in 1968. The parole board recommended release 2 years ago, but Governor Gavin Newsom decided Sirhan should stay incarcerated. And the latest storm system dumping rain and snow across San Diego County is expected to move out tonight. Forecasters are calling for clear weather the next couple of days. It will still be cold, though, especially in the overnight hours, with potential frost in some locations tomorrow morning. Lows could dip into the 20s in the mountain areas. And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. Financial relief is coming for families that rely on insulin products. NPR's Morning Edition has more on the decision by drug maker Eli Lilly to cut prices. And on KPBS Midday Edition, we'll have an interview with San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.